Finance Minister Heng Swee Keat collapsed during a weekly cabinet meeting today at around 5:30 p.m. He had suffered a stroke, and a CT scan at Tan Tock Seng Hospital confirmed that. A statement from the Prime Minister's officers that doctors are now attending to Mr. Heng. We now cross live to our reporter, Wee Keat, who's been following developments at Tan Tock Seng Hospital. Wee Keat, what have you learned so far about Mr. Heng's condition?
Yes, Cheryl, I'm still waiting to hear from the authorities about Mr. Heng Swee Keat's condition. It's been about 4 hours since Mr. Heng had collapsed suddenly during a cabinet meeting. And still, it seems that the news is still sinking in. I mean, his parliamentary colleagues and the opposition parties such as Workers' Party, Singapore Democratic Party and the Reform Party, as well as everyday Singaporeans, have taken to social media to express their shock, their sadness and the good wishes for Mr. Heng to recover. And this only shows how much of an impact this piece of news has made, not just in the political sphere, but also to everyday Singaporeans. Now, Mr. Heng is still being attended to by doctors at Tan Tock Seng Hospital as I speak. What we do know for a fact is that Dr. Ng Hen had mentioned that Mr. Heng had been successfully resuscitated after he collapsed at about 5:30 p.m. and he's been sent to this hospital. And just to give you some context about stroke, I spoke to doctors who told me that the first 6 hours of a stroke are critical, meaning doctors will have to attend to the stroke patient within that critical window period. And doctors also tell me that patients will take between minutes and days, weeks even, to stabilize and to recover depending on the severity of the stroke. Now, all this is of course information about stroke. Doctors are still attending to Mr. Heng Swee Keat at this hospital. We're still waiting for an official word, but I'll be here at this hospital and to give you whatever information I have when I have them. Cheryl?
Thanks, Wee Keat. Young Wee Keat there, reporting live from Tan Tock Seng Hospital. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong wrote on his Facebook page shortly after the announcement. Mr. Lee says that 3 doctors who are cabinet ministers attended to Mr. Heng immediately while an ambulance was called. Prime Minister Lee says that he hopes Mr. Heng will be all right and described him as a valuable member of his team. Several ministers also took to Facebook to wish Mr. Heng well. This message by Deputy Prime Minister Teo Chee Hean, praying for his recovery. Minister for Trade and Industry S.S. Warren wrote that he's deeply shocked and saddened. He says Mr. Heng is a strong and determined man who has worked hard for Singapore, and that his thoughts are with Mr. Heng's family in this difficult period. Get well wishes too from the Workers' Party, posting on Facebook, it wished Mr. Heng a speedy recovery. Mr. Heng Swee Keat has been a key government leader since he joined politics in 2011. A central member of the cabinet, the 54-year-old has been tipped by some as a potential successor to Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong.
We'll transform our economy through enterprise and innovation and build a caring and resilient society.
That's Finance Minister Heng Swee Keat delivering his first budget speech in March this year. But he has held several key government appointments before. Mr. Heng joined politics in 2011 as a People's Action Party candidate in Tampines GRC. Former Prime Minister Goh Chok Tong tipped him to be a potential minister and core member of Singapore's 4th generation leadership team. Mr. Heng was appointed Education Minister that year and led, among others, initiatives to increase support for students at all levels and promote lifelong learning. Mr. Heng also headed several key government committees, such as the Our Singapore Conversation exercise in 2012, a national consultation that reached out to close to 50,000 Singaporeans. He also chaired the SG50 Steering Committee, which was responsible for the many events to celebrate Singapore's 50 years of independence. Mr. Heng was appointed Finance Minister in October 2015. Before joining politics, he held many key public service appointments as well, including being Principal Private Secretary to founding Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew.
Singaporeans recognize Mr. Heng Swee Keat as a leader who engages with the public, says Deputy Director at the Institute of Policy Studies, Gillian Cole. She spoke to us a short while ago about some of his key achievements as Education Minister, a post that he held for more than 4 years since 2011. Remember that there was a whole review of polytechnic education, how we can ensure that we can level up, vocational training so that
graduates of the vocational education system can really enter into good jobs, be employable, and find careers that are fruitful and rewarding in the future. So think of the Aspire Committee, its report, which also then led to the formation of the 5th and 6th University. Think also of Skills Future, which is another offshoot of that effort, to look at how Singaporeans can go on with the lifelong learning effort and be rewarded through skills that are more in time for the future.
Dr. Koh also spoke of Mr. Heng's efforts in driving the Our Singapore Conversation initiative, and this has led to real reforms within the education system.
What was different about that process was, firstly, it posed an open-ended question: what kind of Singapore would you like in the future? Which then made it broad enough to engage people from right across Singapore. We'll remember even the elderly who are dialect speaking were reached out to. And I think the second point about that was that there was another process where, having heard what are the aspirations of Singaporeans, the process then drilled down to what are the specific reforms that can be made. Out of those, I think the one that's the most current on top of people's mind is reforming the PSLE system so that it would be less stressful, less emphasis on the last two digits behind the decimal point, and something that focuses much more on character of students, values, and their passion.
And it's time for